Everyone wants to catch some big fish, up until the point where we're actually hooked up into a big fish, and then you're thinking to yourself, oh my, what did I do to myself? My legs are burning, my back hurts, my arms hurt. I'm never getting this fish into the boat. And I have relieved plenty of fishalots out there off their big fish because they couldn't handle it. But not to worry, Johnnyfishalot's got you covered in this episode where I'm going to show you exactly how you could fight these big fish, just in case you find yourself on a charter boat, big game fishing, or you want to get into big game fishing. Okay, so first and foremost, you got to get fitted for a belt, right? Belts are super important because it's very difficult to fight a very large fish when you're putting 26 pounds of drag on that thing and it's still screaming all over the ocean. So it's important to fit on the belts. That's exactly what these guys are doing here. If you're really getting into it, buy your own belt. This way you know it's always fitted to exactly how you like it. If not, go ahead and use the boat's belts just like you see here. When the fish hits, you know you're ready. You take the rod, you stick it in the belt, and you're ready to go. So next step is you want to be careful not to use your arms to pump the fish. You want to lock out your arm just like you see here. You want to spread out your legs to create a low base. This way you're stable, and you could use your hips as a pivot point to use your upper body weight to move the fish instead of your biceps. If you try to use your arms for these type of fish, you're going to be toast. Those fish are going to just kill your arms. You're not going to be able to move them. You're not going to land the fish. So here you go again. My arm is locked out straight. And notice here I am squared to the fish. As they're about to gaff the fish, I'm squaring myself to the fish, which is an important next point if you want to land fish as big as this big old yellowfin tuna. So here's another picture. This is that big 800-pound blue marlin that I caught. And you'll see in these pictures coming up, I'm always squared to the fish. The rod is pointed to the fish, my torso is pointed to the fish, and I turn my legs to face the fish. And all right, fishalots, let's talk about some stand-up fighting techniques just using a belt and your hips as a pivot point. Now, this is a great way to fish when you're using 50 to 80-pound test line and you're after fish that are running straight away from you. They're going to run, they're going to jump like a blue marlin, tarpon, sailfish, those type of species of fish where using your hips, you could just lean back on the fish to pull in the line. And then as you stand forward, you could gain on the fish as they're jumping, as they're running away from you, as they're just doing the things that we just love to see when we're offshore fishing. Now, next up, of course, is using your ankles and your knees as a pivot point to sit back on the fish to generate that much more force. You're typically going to be using 26 to 30 pounds of drag. You can see me right here. I'm really sitting back on that marlin because I got to generate that force to get that fish turned, and that's the way to do it right there. This is great technique for using 80-pound test line, 80 to 100, and anything over 100-pound test line, you really should use something like a back brace or a kidney harness, or even a kidney harness with a strap that goes under your behind so you could really lean back on a fish hard. So you can tell right here by this picture, I'm leaning back on the fish and I'm actually using my left hand to pull line into the reel because we have over 30 pounds of drag on this fish and we got to get him moving. That's a lot of pressure on you. That's a lot of pressure on the fish. And so this kidney harness works wonders to relieve the pressure off your lower back and your arms. And it's a great method to use when you're sitting back on those fish to get them turned the right way, to get those fish to the boat. They also sell shoulder straps for this. I personally prefer the kidney harness, but you could catch some huge fish with these type of techniques. And learning the correct fighting techniques for big fish does not only apply for blue marlin and giant tuna and these pelagic species of fish offshore, but it also applies to inshore species of fish that you more commonly have access to. So for more tips and tricks on how to fight fish that you're typically going to fish for and not lose any fish, click on this end card right here where I show you even more valuable tips on how to fight big fish.